Всем хай. Мы играем в Vampyr. Текс. У нас тут что? Мы тут, собственно, по больничке шаримся. Проанализировать кровь резвого Василия. Короче, Васильева. Резвого Василия. Но он не очень резвый. Но я даже не знаю. Оба.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
Но не знаю, где у вас там безопасно. Ладно.
Goodbye, Milton.
Покасики. Покасики, кукусики. Кукусики, опять же. Здорово, бабуль.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Так, могу я тебе что-нибудь? Нифига ты мне не скажешь.
Call me if you need assistance.
Так. А ты чё?
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Но не знаю.
What will you do after your resignation? Do you have a plan?
I always fancied visiting Cyprus. Such a beautiful island. I could buy a house there by the sea. Read poetry and wait for death.
Вот так вот, значит, на смерти будешь ждать. Я ж могу тебе и устроить. Нет, я, конечно, не буду в этом прохождении особо куролесить. Ну, как-то это нехорошо. Как-то это нехорошо, это как-то неправильно. Так, нам, кстати, наверх надо. Нам тонко намекают, что мы немножко не туда идем. Так. Ага. Пойдемте сходим в наши палаты. Так, а тут что? Джонатан попросил сестру Крейн подготовить для вас кабинет на втором этаже. К сожалению, не могу вас проводить. Мне нужно немного поспать перед работой. Я всего лишь простой смертный. Заранее прошу прощения за скромную обстановку. Пембрукская больница далеко не Риц. Я распорядился, чтобы к вам никто никогда не входил, поэтому спокойно спите днем, работайте по ночам, если вам угодно. Здесь нет лаборатории, но вы сможете проводить эксперименты у себя. Кроме того, в кабинете есть окно, за ним строительные леса, которые позволят вам незаметно уходить и возвращаться. Должно быть, сейчас вам все кажется непривычным и пугающим. Я долго изучал представителей вашего вида и понимаю, что вы сейчас чувствуете. Можете рассчитывать на мою помощь. Я рад, что познакомился с вами в это тяжелое время. Надеюсь, наше сотрудничество принесет блестящие результаты. Добро пожаловать в Пембрукскую больницу, уважаемые коллеги. Скоро мы еще побеседуем. Искренне ваш Эдгар Гриффит Свонси. Прикладываю копию своих записок о том, как я узнал об иконах за последние годы. Почитайте их, только не используйте эти знания против меня. Так вот там. Как-то я провафлил эту записочку. Даже странно. Так. Так, 104 урон. $10. Есть оглушение. Уже не можем. Но все равно 30 оглушений это все-таки лучше, чем ни хера. Что было именно что ни хера. Ну и да, часть хорошей рукояти, а у меня ее нет. У меня только часть херовой рукояти есть. Так, тут у нас что? Так.
Razvan Vasily was infected by Spanish flu, but also has the highly unstable blood of the Skulls. Is the London vampire epidemic transmitted through the flu? I should talk to Dr. Swansea about it.
Ага. Это, конечно, все прекрасно. Мы, кстати, третью эту начали главу. А я немножко даже не в курсе, сколько их всего тут. Пикирование. Так, ну это мне не особо надо. Я огнестрелом практически не пользуюсь. Так. Исцеление, так. А мы можем когти прокачать? Так, 345 урон. Так, это что такое? 280 урон. Неплохо. Мне не хватает. Не хватает мне так. Свертываемость. Блин. Ладно. Нет, не хочу ничего терять. Зачем мне что-то терять? Так, исчезновение Уайтчепеля. За последние несколько недель без вести пропали десятки людей. Свидетели устраиваются в очередь, чтобы сообщить полиции о таинственных исчезновениях. Подобное происходит по всей стране, но в последние 24 часа подавляющее большинство обращений поступило в участок одного района лондонского Уайтчепела. Презираемый и ненавидимый всеми Ист-Энд вновь оставлен на произвол судьбы. Несмотря на показательное бездействие властей, многочисленные местные жители все же доложили ближайший полицейский участок о необъяснимых исчезновениях своих родственников и соседей. Что случилось со всеми пропавшими? Где они? Единственное, что их связывает, тяжелое состояние здоровья и нужда медицинской помощи. До недавнего времени местные получали ее в секретной амбулатории, которую держали неизвестные добрые самаритяне. Теперь же она закрылась, и ее хозяева давно не дают о себе знать. Нашли ли исчезнувшие другую, более тщательно скрытую лечебницу? Может быть, их тайно перевезли в официальную больницу? Рано или поздно комитет здравоохранения представителя лондонского графства придется ответить на эти вопросы. Вот тут мы, конечно, это... Вот тут мы, конечно, это... Так, цены поменялись, да? Ничего не болеет. Здесь я пока ничего не выяснил особо так. Кристина Попа! Она, кстати, шлюха. Что еще забавнее. Ай, фамилию ей показывает. Так, Клейтон Дарби. Это я не знаю кто. Лоретта Свонборо. Дороти Крейн. Так, пропавший. А, ну да. Бенджамин Палмер. Анемия, так. Так, анемия и мигрень. И простуда еще. Так, погодь. Давайте-ка мы. Есть у нас от анемии можем. Бронхита. Да блин. Простудная. Сепсис, переутомление, анемия, бронхит. Да блин. Пневмония. Ладно. Пошли узнавать больше. У нас 12 уровень, кстати.
I cannot enter.
Кстати, у нас 12 уровень. Так, интересно. Здорово. Говорится, дратути. Оба. Пембрукская больница, 25 октября. Дорогой доктор Свонси, считаю своим долгом сообщить о своих опасениях относительно случая с доктором Тором Стриквандом и Харри Фиддиком. Мистера Фиддика госпитализировали с тяжелой производственной травмой. Если не провести правильный курс лечения, он может лишиться руки. Но доктор Стрикванд утверждает, что хирургическое вмешательство может полностью исцелить Фиддика. А я заявляю, что рука может навсегда лишиться многих функций, если возникнут осложнения. Наш юный коллега смелый и одаренный хирург, и через несколько лет он, возможно, станет превосходным специалистом. Но сейчас он не обладает необходимыми навыками для проведения такой рискованной операции. Должен ли я напомнить вам об ошибках, которые он совершил в прошлом, поскольку доктор Стрикланд отказывается меня слушать? Я настоятельно рекомендую вам запретить ему проведение столь опасного эксперимента. С уважением, доктор Уэйверли Эккроид. Интересно. Интересно. Срачи пошли. Так, а тут что? Пембрукская больница, 4 августа. Дорогой доктор Свонси, я готов управлять временным моргом, только он откроется. Как я уже сказал, на фронте я был врачом и буду рад снова послужить в моей стране. Я знаю, что врач для живых и для мертвых это не одно и то же, но мне кажется, что забота об усопших это важно. Будьте уверены, я приложу все силы для того, чтобы исполнять свои обязанности. Относительно моей квалификации, мне жаль, что я ничем не могу помочь, ничем не могу подкрепить свои слова. Я клянусь вам, что в полку меня сделали врачом, и на фронте я спас жизни многих людей. Если моего слова недостаточно, можете связаться с военной администрацией, там твердят наличие у меня опыта и навыков. И засвидетельствуют, что на войне я получил все необходимые для врача знания, даже если никогда не изучал медицину. Искренне ваш Ракеш Чанада, бывший врач. Вот так он, да. Ракешник. То ли ракешник, то ли ратешник.
Evening, Edgar. Could I get your professional opinion?
Ну давай.
Please speak, but I have something important to tell you.
This strain of flu, it's very different from the one I saw in Europe. It's downright peculiar.
Really? What makes you say that?
I've just looked at the blood of one of our recently deceased.
I see. Do you have anything more to go on?
This disease spreads and looks like the Spanish flu, but its effects differ greatly. The London strain is different from the continental one.
This is very interesting. Did you find something else?
Пока
I
нет.
have a few leads, but nothing I can share for now. I need more time and more evidence.
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the matter.
There's a lot we're not seeing here, but it is spreading and quickly. If we don't act, the whole city could be lost.
But Jonathan, we've a fantastic opportunity sitting right here in front of us. A weapon of choice.
What on earth do you mean?
Why, you, my dear boy. With your expertise and your blood, we could isolate the properties that course through your veins. Think about the possibilities.
Ой, ты чё-то какие-то...
I admit it did occur to me. Blood seems to be the common factor in all of this.
I totally agree. We're in uncharted territory here. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but imagine the possibilities.
We'll discuss this more later. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, Jonathan. But as
Ой,
I
блин,
said,
чё ты
I
хочешь?
needed to talk to you. I have some rather bad news.
Yes?
I'm afraid it's your sister.
My sister?
She's to be buried this evening at Whitechapel Cemetery. Your mother published the obituary this morning.
I see.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Please accept my condolences.
Понятно. Сейчас к Машке сходим на похорона. Не люблю похороны. Вот вообще не люблю. Так, здорово, мать.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Так,
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal acting.
ладно, ладно. Так, давайте посмотрим. Да подожди ты. А то мне прям интересно, что там за херня
I
такая
never thought
происходит.
I would have to attend my murdered sister's funeral. Mary, I can't forgive myself. I'll find the truth about what happened to us. I swear.
Так. Окей. Нам-то нужно к индусу сейчас сбегать. С ним поговорить.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Так, понятно.
Tell me the truth about your appointment as a medic during the war, Rakesh.
The regiment administration appointed me by mistake. I had to learn the job on the spot, sir. Very hard, sir.
Ой, интересно,
But I
как.
rose to the challenge.
А как это у вас так получается?
Do you realize how many soldiers died because of that decision?
Вот да, как бы.
You should have refused.
Yes, sir. I swear I did, sir. But no one listened. When the first wounded arrived, I had to do what I could.
It is an unbelievable story, Mr. Chidana.
It was a time beyond belief, Dr. Reed. But I'm happy not to deal with the wounded. I prefer caring for the dead now.
На. Ну вы дали.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana. Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank
Ну,
you.
хоть кто-то
And you are.
I am Thoreau Strickland.
вежливо
Dr.
обращается.
Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Так, давай поговорим с тобой.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
It has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True, true. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. smiling now.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
Окей.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Окей.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Окей.
Tell me, Thoreau, what's the real cause of your dislike for Dr. Ackroyd?
He refuses to admit that your blood transfusion technique is the only way to save Mr. Fiddick. I'm convinced we must use it.
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
Окей.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Окей.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Окей. Ладно.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Ой, чувак.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick, unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Окей.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a
Ох ты
German
ж,
bomb
блин.
raid.
Ну ладно.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what a I'm an idiot. I'm so tired.
Текс. Ага. На кладбище мы пока не попремся, что нам там делать. Вот, конечно, такие движения меня немножечко напрягают. С тобой, парень, все в порядке. Понятно.
I'll leave you.
Понятно, с тебя мы ничего не добьемся. Ну ладно. Тут внезапно тоже все здоровые. Привет. Ну вы даете, пацаны.
Get them weapons ready! Die, vermin!
Так, интересно.
See that? Won't take its head!
Еще орет кто-то постоянно. О, привет, Тули, зомбятина. Ох ты ж, сука. Блять, да где ты есть-то, а? Сука. Заказчик. Доктор Торрес Трикон, Пембрукская больница, список веществ, ингредиентов, бла-бла-бла.
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move.
На уж. Так, мы что-то подобрали. Так. Ты нам тут вообще нахер не нужен. Здорово.
Hello again, Mr. Blight. I'm happy to see Mr. Thatcher is safe, for now.
I'm eternally grateful, Doctor. We were total strangers and you helped us anyway. Can't thank you enough, sir.
Окей.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course.
War was... Well, you know, sir. Stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we're in the same boat to France. We've stuck together ever since.
Окей. Что еще скажешь?
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
Окей.
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, you can talk him round.
Окей.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
They started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears.
Что-то не видно, что тебя грызли.
Lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and saved me.
Ясно, понятно.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight.
А ты у нас кто?
Hello again, Mr. Thatcher. Do you feel any better now?
Yes, this neighborhood may stink of dog shit and reek of piss, but to me it smells like the purest mountain air.
Окей.
Why were you locked in that sewer? What happened?
I went by the canal after an argument with a friend. Got chased by these fucking wankers and had to barricade myself in, despite my claustrophobia.
Tell me about your claustrophobia. Has anyone given you an official diagnosis?
That's what the bloody doctor said. But I don't want to go to a hospital to get checked again. I'll deal with it my own way.
Окей.
Why did you run? What was the reason for your argument?
Newton wanted me to go to a hospital, but I can't stand being closed in. Makes me feel like I'm suffocating.
Ясно.
Mr. Thatcher, do you have a job?
No. Since I came back from the war, I spent most of my time and energy just trying to forget.
I understand what you mean. I was a soldier too.
No. Nobody can truly understand what I've gone through.
Ой, конечно, никто тебя, блядь, не понимает. Бедный ты несчастный.
Why did you not go to the Pembroke Hospital to seek medical help?
I don't trust doctors. All they care about is their careers and processes. I won't be locked in any room again by anyone.
Your fear of being trapped is not going to go away by itself. You need professional help.
I've seen enough butchers in white coats to last a lifetime. Hospitals reek of chemicals and death. What I need is fresh air.
Ясно, все с тобой. Ладно.
Do you want to talk about why you have this fear of being enclosed, Mr. Thatcher?
No, I really don't.
An irrational fear like yours is usually rooted in a specific event. Perhaps it would help to talk about it.
Well, Doctor, take a guess then if you're so interested in my case.
When I rescued you, you expressed joy at seeing the sky again. So I'm inclined to believe you were trapped or buried somehow. Maybe during a shelling.
Jeez, you're good, Doc. You're really good.
Go on, please. Tell me more about it.
Newton and I were trapped in a circulation tunnel after an artillery attack. We were buried alive for several days without ever knowing if we'd be found.
Okay.
Oswald, tell me about what happened when you were buried in that tunnel with Newton.
It was more than dark. It was black as pitch. Hours seemed like days, and days like months. The terror, the shameful thoughts. Lord have mercy.
What you endured was terrifying. It would have completely destroyed weaker men.
It did not destroy Newton.
Shameful thoughts. Tell me about them.
At some point, I don't remember which day, when I thought we'd never be rescued, that this would be our end, I thought about...
Say it, Mr. Thatcher. If you ever want to heal, you have to say it.
I thought about what I could do to survive, just for a few more days. I thought about killing Newton. Killing and eating him. The man I fucking love.
Опа-на. Однако-с.
Tell me about your true feelings for Newton.
I love him. I'm not ashamed to say it. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't imagine life without him.
I admire your honesty. It takes courage to stand up to society. The world needs people like you to create change.
Courage is what we needed in the trenches, looking death in the face every day. I speak plain. I speak my mind.
Have you always been this straightforward?
All I know is, before you saved me by the sewer, my only regret was I wouldn't be able to hold or kiss Newton again.
О,
That's all.
так, ребят.
Why should you be ashamed?
I'm not, I said. But Newton sees it differently.
Понятно.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher.
Ладно. Придется нам, наверное, вот с тем кентом поговорить, если он не убежал, конечно. А он как раз куда-то сдриснул.
Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Так.
How do you feel about Oswald Thatcher? You are more than friends, aren't you?
I love him. I love Oswald.
Ох, блин.
Knew we wouldn't
Чуваки,
survive the war
вы
without
как-то
each
это...
other. I
Вы
am
точно
terrified,
столетием
Doctor.
не
frightens you so
ошиблись?
much?
What if people find out? Oswald says I'm ashamed, but it ain't that. It's more, well, you know, I never thought I'd love a man.
I won't say a word, Mr. Blight. Your secret is safe with me.
I fought for my country and I survived. I saw my comrades die. And now society tells me I'm a criminal for who I love. It makes me so angry.
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
Oswald seemed far more traumatized than you by the event.
It wasn't the first time it happened to me. Surviving it again gave me strength. You believe that?
How did you survive for a week?
Luckily for us, there were rations and water in the tunnel. It was an outpost, see? Since then, Oswald's not keen on being inside for too long.
Окей.
Goodbye, Miss.
Ладно. Хрен с вашим асфальтом. Ага, вот и он.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances, and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reed. That's all I'm asking.
Окей.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reed. I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
You have my support, Dr. Strickland. I know exactly what it feels like to battle an unknown disease, with only your mind and force of will to help you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. You don't know what that means to me.
Окей.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Так.
I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
Sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I never could keep anything from her.
Так, где там выход-то? Вот сколько говорил, у игры явно проблемы с нормальной этой самой хренотенью. Так, ладно. Давайте, наверное, в следующий раз уже займемся экспериментами. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь. Всем пока.